breaks the shadow of the weary heart. Truth cuts the dark like a flaming dart. Voices rising strong to lift the call. This is the time we give it all.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Lynn Scott Hagerman podcast, where truth has no filter, freedom is our mission, and light exposes the darkness. I'm your host, Lynn Scott Hagerman, survivor of child trafficking and medical experimentation underground at a U.S. University Medical Center in conjunction with our government through MKUltra mind control. I'm the voice they tried to silence, and I'm silent no more. Praise God. Today, I'm also an international award-winning human resource consultant, an independent LifeWave distributor, a marathoner, weightlifter, child of God, follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, and friend of Holy Spirit. I stand before you today strong in mind, body, and spirit. Please be sure to visit my websites, qgrit.org, which is God's plan for the aftercare of the little ones once they're rescued from trafficking above ground and below ground, and also to help with the survivors from trauma of any kind. And also please visit liveyoungerwithlynn.com, where the X39 and Celergize LifeWave products will enhance your stem cells. It is the wearable med bed. It is the fountain of youth. Now let's get to the truth. Today, Patriots, my guest is David Nino Rodriguez. He is a former heavyweight boxing champ, ranked number 11 in the world by the IBA, number 12 by the WBA, and number 13 by the WBC. He's a born-again Christian, outspoken, MAGA, bold for Jesus, praise God. With hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, he now stands at the front line of America and the world's battle against good and evil. And as a personal note, God began intersecting my life with Nino's back in April of 2020 during the COVID quarantine, when God moved Nino to post a video exposing elite trafficking rings. That 10-minute video went viral, and it marked his calling into the truth movement. And I'll never forget hearing that. I was in my garage lifting weights, in isolation, still healing from my childhood trauma. And for the first time in my life, folks, I heard a man publicly call out what was being done to the children and saying it was evil and wrong. I never heard that through my entire childhood. And at that moment in time, the little girl in me who survived saw this glimmer of possibility that a man like this in the fight, with him and others like him, the children may be saved and protected. And it was like this first spark that made me believe that the rescue and protection of our little ones was truly possible. And then later, fast forward January of last year, God called me to step forward as a truther also. And I was honored to be on Nino's show, Nino's Corner, which is at ninoscorner.tv. You'll see that in the stream going across the bottom of your screen. And I was on in October and back again in November last year with Cathy O'Brien. And today it is my honor to welcome this international hero in this battle for good and evil. Nino, God bless you.
Man, I still think about that video I did, and I can't believe what an impact it had, because it was actually a pretty scary time for me when I did that video. And I didn't know I really didn't know while I was filming it that it would do anything at all. I didn't try for it to do anything. It was completely organic, and it was impulsive. I had zero idea that it was going to do anything out there in especially when they started internationally. They started translating it Chinese, German. That's when I knew. Oh boy, this was actually a little bigger than I expected. But it was pretty crazy, and I think that's there was people that came before me, Isaac Cappy and stuff like that. But for some reason, this video, I don't know why, but it just struck a nerve. I guess it was the right time during COVID. And I just did a nonchalant kind of video talking about what's really happening in Hollywood, and it just went huge. And I still think, like, I mean, I guess that's what put me on the map in podcasting, but I still can't believe how big that video actually was. I still have a like I have a hard time believing it, to be honest.
Well, to me, it's like the hand of God all over your life in that moment in time, because look at what a huge voice and an audience that you have right now, and your ability to speak the truth and say it boldly. And it, to me, it's like you're a fighter for we the people worldwide from the heart. I mean that.
I'll be honest with you. Nothing, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, come on," but I'm going to be honest. Nothing can take the place of the adulation and glory that I felt in boxing. It was just otherworldly, like, and I miss it. And it's my fault that my career ended the way it ended. I'm not playing victim, but I have to keep the fight going. I'm a fighter. I don't stop. Like, this is not something. The whole reason I retired from boxing is not because I lost. It was because I had back surgery, and there was just
Right,
after that there was no way. There was no
right.
way to return. Like, I can't believe uh, how uh, how honestly how it hindered everything. It stopped everything. Like, back surgery is the real deal, folks. Like, it's one thing to golf like Tiger Woods, but it's another thing to go in there and fight, man. It's a whole nother world. So I couldn't do it anymore. So now I get to sit on my butt and do podcasts, which is, I guess, is the next best thing, right?
Well, God's still using your God given gifts as a fighter, but this time you're fighting with your intellect and your voice, which is what patriots need to learn to do. I think we have a ways to go there.
Yeah, not enough people are coming out. Right now we're gonna be tested like never before. Look what just happened to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, who would have ever had that on their bingo card? Seriously, like, we saw it happen to Trump, but they set this guy up. They set this guy up. This, in my mind, with everything that I'm looking at, this was not a lone shooter. This was not just Tyler Robinson was definitely part of it, but this was a much bigger play. This was engineered. This was strategized, well thought out. They put him right there in the middle of what looked like what is the Jewish candle system? The menorah, is it called?
I think
Uh,
so. Yeah.
I think it's called that. But the what? How many candles is it? I'm not sure your audience can figure that one out. But
Menorah, menorah.
menorah, right
Yeah.
in the center of that, boom, which is a very symbolic reference, and he got shot right in the center. All of this adds up. Symbology will be their downfall, as they say, but I'm looking more to I'm looking more towards his donors, Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm looking towards more Israel in my perspective with what I'm seeing here. Now, it was well orchestrated. I think Candace Owens is doing a great job on unraveling some of this, but I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this, if ever, to be quite honest with you. And that's what's sad about this. But everyone out there, the Christians especially, be ready, watch your six, because they're coming for everybody. This is only going to escalate.
And when you say they are coming for everybody and that he was set up, I'd like to go back to helping people are trying to understand what happened. And there's so much information coming out about that. I was just hearing this morning, watching something on X about a CIA plane that was in the air. So you heard that in the area low at the time of the assassination. And so what did you hear about that? And what is your take?
It was a mapping plane, a scanning plane, also a drone flew like immediately at the time of the shooting. Also, the question that was being asked to Charlie Kirk was about trans mass shootings, mass violence. And as he was about to answer that, that's when he got shot, almost like a cue to shoot him.
Timing.
The timing, yeah. So there's that. So that guy should be absolutely apprehended and interrogated. Um, Also, the shot looks like it did not come from the roof. It looks like there was another shooter involved. There's also been decoys in the audience. That man Zin, who's just got
Yes.
caught with a child sexual stuff on his, he was also involved in 9/11 with as a crisis type actor. Now here he is again. So this is a very big deal to that side. I mean, to them, they look at this, and you'll understand this in ritual terms. It was like a sacrifice. So there's
Yeah.
so many layers to this that I don't think people are ready to uncover or unravel. And this goes deep. Like, I don't think people understand how deep this goes. This was a massive victory for the other side. It was a massive hit for us. But it's going to turn out to be a victory for us because it sparked 18,000 plus new chapters of Turning Point. It also, has people that never before looked at Charlie Kirk, looking at his material, looking at his speaking engagements, looking at his debates, learning about him. So this is just, sparked a wildfire, man. So to me, I hate to say it like this, but it's almost like his death did more for his cause than him being alive could have. And now I say that in the meaning of, obviously, I wish he's alive. Obviously, it'd be so much better if he's alive. I'd love to see more of his speaking engagements. I'd love to see more of his debates, but everyone's head now has been turned to Charlie Kirk, and the light has been shined on this and the war that we're in, and you can't turn away from it. And these type of things that happened to JFK, that happened to Martin Luther King, it just makes them bigger than life, and that's what it's done for Charlie Kirk. And I can't get the shock out of my system. I can't get the sorrow for his widow and his family out of my mind. It's horrific, but I know God's going to use this, the way God uses everything for his own good. So I say we sit back and just watch how this plays out. I got a feeling that it's going to be for the ultimate good.
Amen. Well, and it's been astounding too, watching worldwide what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Kirk was really only big in certain genres, in certain arenas, right? And he was only going to, as far as I know, he may have gone out of the country, but mainly American colleges and universities. He was going into the viper den, or what I call the rabies-infected dog den, and really trying to give these people logic and reason. And Juan O'Savin has said this many times on my show, hell is a place that is absent of logic and reason. It's just the gnashing of teeth. Yes. Going to these universities, really, you're dealing with people that you would think would have logic and reason, because that's what's supposed to happen at a university. But instead, these are indoctrination camps.
Yes, they are.
And they're teaching this liberal disease, this communist Marxist agenda. So him going into these dens with vipers, expecting not to get bit, and trying to pet them and reason with them and give them logic, he got bit. And I think we can all learn from this lesson that, a lot of these people you cannot reason with, you cannot give logic to. And people ask how I do it. Well, I have my own podcast, but I don't go around these people. Some of them come up to me when I'm at the gym or whatever. Hey, how do you feel about Charlie Kirk's death? And they have a little smirk on their face, and I put them in their place right away. Like, trust me, like they don't get out of line. But Good. It's like, no, they I don't even know why they come up to me in the first place, not expecting that. But it's like that. So these people, you cannot reason with them. Most of them. Some you still can, and I think he was out there trying to save the few that you can still reason with. But they're so filled with vile and hatred. They're foaming at the mouth. Many times when you watch Charlie Kirk in his speaking engagements, they had no logic or reasoning. The questions they were asking him, it was pure emotional. It was from an emotional standpoint. They didn't even think out their question. And if you watch Charlie Kirk, what does he do? He repeats their question. Okay, let me get this straight. This is how you're asking this question. Am I correct? And they'll say yes. Okay, let's break that question down. He'll break the question down and send it back to them, and then they'll realize how stupid the question was. And then they'll sit there mumbling. He was a genius at debating. We're never going to get that guy again. So, although we have 18,000 new chapters of Turning Point, we're never going to get Charlie Kirk back. He's going to live on forever. And he is the JFK of this generation, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. And, there's universities, Nino. So, of course, that was where I spent part of my childhood. And through Operation,
Utah?
Well, not in Utah, but at a different university. But I now have the names of 18 universities where MK Ultra experiments have taken place. After World War II, our government, through Operation Paperclip, brought the Nazi scientists over to the United States and put them in every system, including the universities. So now in our universities, we're in third generation Nazi background professors and their ideologies. And this is what happens come third generation. Cathy O'Brien, that we're both friends with, she'll talk about MK Ultra 2, and after the third generation, people's minds, it gets inbred into their DNA to act and behave like this. And what we're seeing is the result of MK Ultra brainwashing that started with the experiments underground, and now it's above ground. And that is the trigger words. You say Trump, you say patriot. They have an MSM spreading the repeating the mantra. And MK Ultra is you terrify people, and so these this is the first, Charlie Kirk would talk about this. This is the first generation where they didn't graduate. They didn't have their graduation exercises because of COVID lockdowns. They didn't have all of the things that others might have had, and they were put in fear for their lives. And then they turned for information to mainstream media and the university professors, and it's MK Ultra brainwashing. That it's, I will do anything you tell me to make this pain stop. And so I believe that they're being told to kill us, and that will make the pain stop. And that is the most heinous. They're demons. I did a show recently on their demonic influence. You can see the demons coming out in their eyes and their words. They're either, some are possessed and some have demons speaking in their ears.
A lot of people say it's mental illness, but I'm with you on this. I think it's demonic possession manifesting itself as a mental illness.
Yes.
So it's, and I think when you start, like for me, my sobriety, when I got sober, I started seeing things so much more clearer. And, I was alcohol, I haven't drank almost 6 years now. So 5 years and 10 months, 5 years and 9 months this month. But
Wow.
that being said,
Well,
the first couple of years, I was still taking sleeping pills. I would still go out and party with my friends. I wouldn't drink, but I do a line of Coke here and there, whatever. Now that's all gone, right? That's been gone for say about 4 years. Everything done 4 years now. So looking back on all of this and my process of awakening, I'm getting more and more honed in. It's like iron, like sharpening a blade. Like the more I stay sober, the more I see, the more I have intellectual conversations.
yes.
The more I have these profound guests on my show, and we
Mhm.
war game together, I get sharper and sharper and sharper in this battle, in this war. And I think we all need to do that. So now is not the time to get sloppy. Like somehow I knew, Lynn, in my DNA, in my soul,
Yeah.
I knew I had to stop drinking. I don't know what it was, but let me tell you, I was having a great time. There was I didn't think there was going to be any stopping me. And I was still sleeping with a lot of women, doing what I wanted to do. I didn't care. I was just a guy, man. I was still the champ, but maybe chump now. I don't know. But I was still going out and doing what I wanted to do. And I was having a great time, but I felt this urge in my soul. All of a sudden, I'll never forget. I was out drinking and I just felt this, you got to stop drinking. And I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this? And it kept eating at me. Every time I'd go out and drink or go out with friends to a brunch and drink and meet with girls, I'm like, you got to stop this. I'm like, why, dude? Where is that coming from? And then I kept feeling this. Stop now. Something's coming. And I was like, man, what's coming? And I kept thinking to myself, well, it's my parents. My parents are getting older. Maybe it's something with them. I don't understand this. And so
Wow.
I got rushed to the hospital in 2019 for a heart problem. I went out with friends and we binge drinked and I was doing Coke and I was partying. I was just doing what I always do.
Yeah.
Came back home and all of a sudden I was in the hospital with a afibrillation and my heart was doing some sporadic beating and was stopping and starting. It was doing some crazy stuff. I was in the hospital for 6 or 7 days and I thought to myself, like, what the hell did I do to myself? What am I doing? I'm killing myself. And now this is like the third or fourth time I've been in the hospital to my own accord. And then that was in October. By December 2019, on the 26th, I quit drinking completely. And I had just went into this with blind faith. Nobody told me I was going to start a podcast. Nobody told me I was going to hit a viral video. Nothing. I just went into this with blind faith. My dad was rushed to the hospital for a heart valve transplant. I didn't know what was going to happen. All I'm saying is I feel like that was from God. And
Yes.
I do. And like, I'm just telling your audience, like now that we're coming into this time, you can't be sloppy. Like you got to put those things away. We're going into a serious war here, like as if we don't know this already. But this is going to escalate, folks. You're going to see this stuff hit the streets. You're going to see cells, immigrants activated. You're going to see more mass shootings, more things like this take place. And guess who they're going to target? The white nationalist Christian, the Christian nationalist. You, us. We're targets. This Charlie Kirk thing was just a warm-up. So I hope people understand this and people really take heed of what I'm saying. We have got to not be sloppy. Always know where you're at, know your surrounding areas. I would avoid highly densely populated areas, especially in Democratic hellholes. If you live in a place like Chicago, Portland, I would stay out of densely populated areas. San Francisco, Los Angeles. This is just beginning. We are in the fight with Donald Trump, but we just stormed Normandy. We got a whole fight to go.
So, Nino, help us understand, because I feel your passion, I see your passion, and I completely hear what you're saying. Help us understand why you know that this is going to get so much worse.
Because it's in their playbook. This is what they want. Everything that's ever happened to America has been engineered. They have think tanks thinking this stuff through. There is an Illuminati. There is secret societies. They want to see the dismantling of America. They want to spin us into chaos, into civil unrest, order out of chaos. That's how they operate. America is the last place they wanted to. This is the final trophy. They were going to do it with Hillary Clinton. Trump upset the apple cart. Trump is an operation. I mean, I'm very certain of this. And this is, it's like dismantling a bomb. They've done a lot of work, decades and decades and decades of social engineering on America. And they've really worked. They've molded the minds of Americans, especially the generation now is the generation. They don't have another shot after this. They have got to go now. So they're going to make a move now. This is their army, the generation of misfits. This generation of misfits, this generation of the LGBTQ plus, whatever it is, that's why it's such a broad spectrum. This is their army. The army of misfits, the fatherless homes, broken families. Why do you think Charlie Kirk was such a threat to them? He was preaching Christianity and the nuclear family. He was winning back some hearts and souls and minds of children. Not all of them, but a lot of them were turning. That's why it's called Turning Point. So he was really like a Rubik's Cube, working on their minds and bringing people back. This is why it was so important for them to kill him. He was a huge soldier in this, man. Like, this guy was just as important as Trump. Like, he was boots on the ground. He was out there making a difference. I may be doing it for my podcast, but this guy's out there. He was at the schools doing this stuff. Now, I didn't agree with everything he said because, I mean, I obviously look at my past. So, you know what I mean? Like, boy, I was a really messed up guy. But now looking back on everything, dude, that's a guy every man should admire to be like. Like, that's the guy, not the guy getting all the girls, not the guy doing the drugs, party, not the guy who can fight well, who can run a football to a touchdown, hit a home run. Those aren't the guys you look up to. The guys you look up to was Charlie Kirk. And he held a mirror up to all of society, especially the men. And he said, here's what you're looking at. And instead of changing within themselves and trying to work on that reflection, they killed the guy holding the mirror.
Yes, they did. What do you see then, Nino, when the army is activated? What are we going to see on the streets?
It's being activated right now. I mean, come on. Is anyone paying attention? Hello? They're going into Chicago right now. They're clearing out the homeless people right now, and people in midday raids, I think they're called. Look, we're in a very evil place in America. I don't think people really. We're the number one consumer of child human trafficking,
Yes,
drugs. We are number one. Everyone else is a distant second.
That's right.
That being said, and something that we need to pay attention to as well, Just because they've shut the border doesn't mean it's stopped. It's
That's
still
right.
going on right now. These people still got to do this, and there's a big epidemic happening right now. Well, I don't know if that would be the right word, but a big problem happening right now with the homeless. A lot of them are going missing, and I've been watching a lot of videos on this stuff. So there's this problem happening in America right now where big cities like Houston are their homeless are going missing and they don't know what the hell's going on. And they've talked to a few of the homeless people and they said that they're being hunted. Like sick elites are hunting the homeless. Like this is real. And people can go look this up if they want to. So this is another big problem that we're going to be faced with. Um, so I think these homeless that are being pulled off the streets by at least our military being sent to encampments is for their safety because we are so sick in this country that there's actually elite people out there hunting the homeless. And I just wanted to bring this out to your audience. I think this is probably the first time it's ever been heard. But this is actually a real thing happening, and a lot of homeless people are scared of this right now. Um,
I have not heard that myself,
yeah,
Nino.
this is something that I've been watching and paying attention to for the last month, and I've heard now in Houston, Texas, this is happening rampant. Like people are just going missing, and the homeless are in fear of their lives. So, um, what the hell is going on? I think we should look into it.
Absolutely. And at one level, that actually doesn't surprise me because the elites have been hunting children. That's been one of their playgrounds for them, if I can even use that word. So to also put the homeless in the mix, that makes me think that maybe they're not getting their supply of children the way they once did because the borders are more closed
Maybe
than
you
they have
might be
been
correct on
before.
that. Yeah,
So
that's logical, right?
it is logical. And because people, I get asked all the time, Nino, by people just waking up to these horrors and these heinous crimes. How can people do this? People don't understand the battle against good and evil. It is truly, truly a battle against good and evil. And there are many people who are just flat evil in this world, and we worship God. Satan is their God.
Yeah,
Just black
and you
and
got to
white.
remember, celebrities and famous people. I've been around a lot of these people, man. I
Yeah,
was even a quasi famous person for a while. I guess you could say I was a big, I was heavyweight boxing champ. I'd go to a party,
right.
everyone would be like, "Hey, that's the rising guy. He's 36-0." For a
Yeah.
while there, I felt that celebrity stardom. I felt it. I had it
Hmm.
for a while, and although I wasn't like a household name, any party I went to, everyone would know that's the undefeated boxer. That's you know what I mean. They would
Yeah.
gravitate towards me, and I've been around a lot of these celebrities, and they don't think they're not like regular people. A lot of them, they don't feel they're you. That's why I know these elitists, these people with a lot of money, they don't feel like they are you. They think they're chosen for this position, and they feel like you're sheep. You're just useless grazers, as they would say, and they really do feel like you're expendable. And you got to think about you know what that means. That's why they go into these cults. That's why they'll do anything to keep their fame because they cannot even stand to think they'll ever be an average mediocre person like the rest of us now. So they do things to stay on top. They do things to stay on top. They are blackmailed. If you can blackmail a politician with child, stuff, then you can get any celebrity. And if you want them to stay in that place of fame, they are doing the most unbelievable, heinous acts to stay there. I'm telling you that right now. They are. And that's the only way they stay where they're at. Keep delivering these big movies of time and time again. There's so much dirt on these. You would not want to be them, but they ultimately just lose their soul and they just compartmentalize stuff. And so,
We're seeing that throughout our systems too, Nino. So you're talking entertainment. We've seen that, like you said, the politicians, universities now. We see that in the judicial system. We see that in the Department of Education, the medical system, even like after Charlie Kirk's death. And I think this is what's starting to wake up even more of we the people, these radicalized, assassin minded individuals all throughout our communities that we never knew were there.
Yeah, and they can be activated at any time, and they don't even know when they're going to be activated. A lot of these people are groomed in
Yes,
chat rooms. Like nobody knows. Like a lot of people think their kids are sweet little kids, but they don't know if they're being groomed on some chat room or some Discord app or whatever. You don't know. I mean, I'm telling you, like I'm all for homeschooling. I think if you
yeah,
send your kid into a public school, you are sending them into an indoctrination camp, and
yes,
your child is going to change. Not even so much so the teachers or the professors, but the other kids there. You don't know what their parents are like. You know what their parents believe in. So I'm all for homeschooling. I think that's the way to go now. And man,
I
I wouldn't even give a kid a cell phone until they're at least 18, man. I'm serious. There's no reason for it. There's just all they're getting is tainted, and evil just pours through these conduits, and
it does. It's portals for demons
it's
because I see
portals,
that.
man.
It's portals for demons. And I was with uh, a couple in their home one time, 2 year old. They had an iPad, and what he was watching, and that was his babysitter, were two men who put a boy in a dress and had him dance in front of them. That's what he was watching on his little iPad from a
See, and
Disney.
it seems soft and innocent, and anybody in the
Yes,
LGBTQ community be like, "Who cares? It's no big deal. It's just fluid."
grooming,
That's evil.
grooming.
That's
It is
evil, evil, evil.
Yes, it is. It is. And the department, I call it the Department of Reeducation, because the grooming begins in the anything that's federally funded, the daycares before kindergarten. They've had an they're teaching sex starting at babies. It's required curriculum, and then they bring it into the fifth grade, the kindergarten class. This is Agenda 2030 with the UN. By eighth grade, they're saying that children being with adults is called love, and you can and I encourage parents, go into the schools and demand this curriculum. But ultimately, I'm on board with you, Nino. Homeschooling, we have to get them out of this cesspool. And then why parents will pay $100,000 a year to send their children, their sweet children, to universities to be indoctrinated and come out these radicalized, what we've seen with, I can't even begin to understand it.
No, I have plenty of friends that have sent their kids off to college, and they come back and they're completely changed.
Yes,
And he's like, I don't even recognize my kid anymore. And they talk back to their parents. They say, you don't know, whatever. They hate Trump. They hate Jesus. I don't believe in Christianity anymore. I mean, they do a number on these kids' minds
yeah,
and
they
their
do.
hearts. And I think at this point, knowing what we know, it's your fault if you send your kid to college. It's your fault if you send your kid to a public school. Not even a Catholic school. I wouldn't even trust it, to be honest with you.
I agree. I agree. Well, they have been having their own. We've been seeing ever since Charlie Kirk, his assassination, all the radicalized people coming out, even in Christian schools. There have been teachers celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it is everywhere. And I had a friend of mine who was doing the temporary teacher type work in a Catholic school for the little ones in elementary school, and she recognized that one of the boys was being harmed by adults. And she told the principal the behavior the child was doing, and the principal said, "Oh, Johnny's just exploring himself. There's nothing wrong with a 5-year-old doing all those things." And
What
yeah,
was
there
he
is.
doing?
He was masturbating, and that's not normal for
That's
a
learned, man.
5-year-old.
That's learned.
That's,
He saw
that's
that somewhere.
groomed. That's exactly right. He's being groomed. And yet the principal at the Catholic school, they're being trained that that's all normal because that's come through their training through the Department of Reeducation. That's the grooming of our children that's happening now. And so they're not hotlining any of that. And it's heinous what's happening in the public school system.
I mean, I understand some people need to have like two incomes. I get it, and
Yeah,
they have to send their kids to school. They can't homeschool. I understand that, and that's what the dilemma is. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. This is scary stuff, man. I mean, I don't know because we don't know. You don't know you're sending your kid to a place that he's being indoctrinated or she's being indoctrinated. You just don't know what they're doing.
that's right. That's right. Nor do you know whenever you go to a friend's house in the neighborhood, who's in that house
No.
and who's visiting? And
And the internet's breeding more and more of this vile, vulgar behavior. So,
yes,
you don't know what the parents are into, even though they're nice. And every serial killer you ever hear about, oh, he was such a nice guy. I lived right next door to him. What do you mean?
yes,
How was he a killer? He was the greatest guy. He was nice to everybody. He was so charismatic. I mean, geez, I mean, yeah, I think now more than ever, people need to be very strict with their kids. Very strict. Watch everything they do, even at a playground. Supervise them.
yes, absolutely. Well, and I go back to the people that we're seeing on social media celebrating an assassination of a godly Christian man.
Yeah,
They look like us, all of them.
yeah.
They look like grandmothers, and they look like our peers, and they look like, and they're the ones providing medical care, and they're the ones working in businesses that we shop at, and they look like us.
I can't believe that I'm living in a time. If you were to go back 20 years and tell me, myself now, go tell my old self, you're not going to believe what 2025 is going to be like. 2020 to 2025, and then explain everything that's happening, my mouth would have hit the floor. I mean, the technologies, the cell phones, everything that's happened, none of this would have been on my bingo card. Flying cars would have been, but that didn't happen. All that's driverless cars are before flying. That's
Right.
another show. But
Yeah.
this being said, I would have never imagined we'd be where we're at right now with the LGBT community, the mass shootings, the war in Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran war. I would have said, if I would have gone and told myself that, I would have said, "Oh, we're in the end of the times. That's it. That's it. That's the end of the times. That's the end times." And people, instead of getting closer to Jesus Christ, they're falling away, and they're falling into this indoctrination, this new agey crap, and it's crap. Aliens are our gods, and this and that. Man, this is so deceptive. That's coming next. That's their final nail in the coffin. Look, aliens, I'm not saying they don't exist, but they've always been here. They're here, and they're probably the fallen. Then for me, I believe they're the fallen, and they're going to be masquerading as aliens. So I'm just saying, it's just beginning. This stuff's just beginning, folks. Just because Trump's in office, we got him 3 more years. And then what? Get ready. Because I don't know who's coming after him. Nobody does. Anybody who tells you they do, they're lying. But we're in the war, and people better buckle up and get ready for this.
What do you see, Nino? I promised to get you out in a couple minutes so you could help your parents. But what do you see where are we heading? What can we expect? And how do we protect those we love?
War. This is war, man. I cannot stress that enough. Like, I'm there already. I see it. I have visions. I've been having these visions for 10 years. That's why I got this tattoo right here. It's Emiliano Zapata. It says, "Better to die on your feet than to live a life upon your knees." Emiliano Zapata. I got that like 15, 20 years ago. I knew this was coming. I don't know how, but I did. And I had visions and dreams of this stuff. We're going into a time of, of a lot of chaos and civil unrest. And I think, and yes, military will be on the streets, and we will win this, and we will go into a golden age. We're going to go. But before that, it's going to get bumpy. So just watch your 6, folks. That's all I'm saying, because we are now the targets. Tag, you're it. We're it. We're the targets now. So, and also another thing I want to say, with Charlie Kirk being gone, just get ready for the vacuum to get filled. So who's going to fill the vacuum? This is how evil works. They're going to probably start sending in people like Milo Yiannopoulos, Ben Shapiro, and coming in and retangling the web, making the minds all messed up of the children, because Charlie Kirk did amazing work untangling that web. Now there's a vacuum there. Who's going to fill that vacuum? I guarantee you there's going to be personalities that come out as conservatives that are going to not be preaching Christianity in the nuclear family. I'll tell you that much.
Well, God bless you, Nino. I follow you on your shows. I love to listen to your podcast. I love your fighting spirit, and you're very much spot on with current events and things happening in the nation. So I encourage everyone to share this with all of your friends and family. And how can people follow you, Nino?
Best place to go is ninoscorner.tv. Ninoscorner.tv. That's where all the material's at. News before it's news. You're about 6 months to a year ahead of the game there, to be honest. And then I put up surveys before on X, and it's like 66%, 67% saying over the target. So I'm proud of that.
Yes, and you should be, and I agree. And God
that's
bless
including
you.
all the trolls and bots that get on there.
Well, that's a feat. That's quite an accomplishment. Well, God bless you. And to the folks listening, until next time, this is the Lynn Scott Hagerman podcast, where truth is rising, and so are we.
Light breaks the shadow of the weary heart. Truth cuts the dark like a flaming dart. Voices rising strong to lift